Coronation Street has confirmed 6 official suspects for Theo Silverton's murder as the hunt for the killer gets underway. In Friday's episode, the soap's flash-forward death mystery was finally resolved after it was revealed that Theo was the dead body found by Betsy Swain on Carla and Lisa's wedding day. With the victim revealed, the soap has now shifted the focus as the hunt for Theo's killer begins, with Kit and Lisa set to launch a series of investigations as they attempt to piece together the events of that night. Per an official press release, upcoming scenes will see everyone on the street struggling to come to terms with the fact that one of their own is a murderer as the suspects attempt to keep their secrets hidden. According to the soap, this month's scenes will see the pressure mount to a breaking point as the hunt for Theo's killer commences. This week, Todd Grimshaw, George Shuttleworth, and Gary Windass all face a grilling interrogation as the first of 6 suspects in the murder. In the coming weeks, Summer Spellman, Christina Boyd and Danielle Silverton follow in their footsteps, with the soap lining up each character's motives, which read as follows. Having survived Theo's continuous abuse and weary of him escaping justice, did the desire for freedom from Theo finally push Todd to take the ultimate revenge? Despite fiercely maintaining his innocence, is George's desperation to protect someone else a cover for his own deadly crime? Did Gary's protective intervention for Todd cross a line, turning into an act of deadly revenge against the man tormenting his friend? After living with the knowledge that Theo killed Billy, did the weight of this trauma finally push Summer to commit murder? Her loyalty to George is pushed to the limit, leaving us wondering what explosive secret she is desperately trying to conceal. Was Christina a part of Theo's demise? Whispers begin circulating about Danielle's motives to kill her ex-husband. Did she have a score to settle, or could there be a financial motive? Teasing what's to come, the soap promised that a complex web of lies is set to be exposed, asking whether any of the suspects will be charged with Theo's murder. The news spread through Weatherfield like a storm nobody saw coming. By mid-morning, the street that had already endured years of secrets, betrayals, and sudden tragedies was once again at the center of chaos. The police had made a formal announcement: Theo Silverton's death was no longer being treated as an accident. It was murder. And worse, there were 6 official suspects. No one in Weatherfield could escape the shadow of suspicion. 1. The body that changed everything. Theo Silverton had been found behind the old canal warehouse 2 nights earlier. At first, officers believed it was a fall, an unfortunate accident in a dangerous, half-abandoned area where people rarely went after dark. But the autopsy changed everything. A fractured skull, defensive wounds on his hands, and traces of a struggle told a very different story. Someone had fought Theo. Someone had wanted him dead. And someone in Weatherfield knew exactly what happened that night. Detective Inspector Mallory stood in front of the press with a face carved from exhaustion. We are now treating Theo Silverton's death as a homicide investigation. We have identified 6 individuals with confirmed motive, opportunity, or suspicious behavior. The cameras flashed. The 6 names were not released publicly immediately, but within hours, whispers had already torn through the cobbles. And by nightfall, everyone knew. The suspects. Liam Hartley, Theo's business rival. Sarah Middleton, Theo's ex-partner. Gary Wyndham, local builder with a violent history. Maya Patel, witness who disappeared for 6 hours on the night of the murder. Ronnie Silverton, Theo's estranged brother. Evelyn Cross, landlady of the warehouse district. Each of them had a reason. Each of them had something to hide. And none of them were talking. 2. Liam Hartley, the rival who lost everything. Liam Hartley had once been Theo's closest business partner. Together, they had built a property investment firm that was beginning to reshape parts of Weatherfield. But greed, ambition, and accusations of fraud tore them apart. Now Liam sat in an interrogation room, hands clenched, eyes burning with frustration. I didn't kill him, he repeated for the 3rd time. Theo ruined my life. But I didn't kill him. Detective Mallory leaned forward. Witnesses saw you arguing with him hours before his death. That's business, Liam snapped. We argued every week. But there was something else. Bank records showed a massive transfer attempt from Theo's account just one day before he died, an attempt allegedly initiated through Liam's old login credentials. I was framed, Liam said, voice rising. But the detective wasn't convinced. Outside the station, reporters were already calling him the betrayed partner. And Liam knew one thing for certain: Weatherfield didn't believe in innocence. 3. Sarah Middleton, the ex who knew too much. Sarah Middleton hadn't spoken to Theo in weeks. Or so she claimed. But phone records told a different story. Late-night calls. Deleted messages. A heated exchange just hours before Theo's death. When officers brought her in, Sarah looked exhausted, but not surprised. I knew this was coming, she said softly. Coming? Mallory asked. She hesitated. Theo wasn't the man people think he was. That was all she would say. But neighbors had seen Sarah near the canal warehouse that night. One even claimed she was running. Away from something. Or someone. Yet Sarah's biggest secret wasn't where she was, it was what she knew. Theo had allegedly been planning to expose someone in Weatherfield. Someone powerful. Someone who could destroy multiple lives with a single confession. And Sarah might have been the only person he trusted with that information. 4. Gary Wyndham, violence in his past. Gary Wyndham had a record stretching back 15 years. Assault. Property damage. Intimidation. He was known in Weatherfield as someone who solved problems with his fists. Theo had crossed him weeks earlier during a dispute over building permits tied to redevelopment land. A fight had broken out at the pub. Witnesses said Gary had warned him long enough to finish what you're doing. Now Gary sat in custody, smirking at officers. If I'd killed him, he said, you'd know. But forensic evidence told another story. A partial footprint near the warehouse matched his boot size. And traces of Theo's blood had been found on a jacket seized from his home. Gary's smirk faded when he saw the report. This doesn't prove anything, he muttered. But deep down, even he knew Weatherfield didn't need proof. Only suspicion. 5. Maya Patel, the missing 6 hours. Maya Patel was the most mysterious suspect of all. She had reported seeing Theo arguing with an unknown figure near the canal shortly before midnight. But after giving her statement, she vanished. For 6 hours. No phone signal. No CCTV. No witnesses. When she reappeared, she was shaken. I panicked, she told detectives. I saw something I shouldn't have. What did you see? Mallory asked. Maya hesitated. A struggle. Between Theo and someone she couldn't identify. But her timeline didn't match the known facts. And worse, CCTV from a nearby bus stop showed her returning to the area minutes before Theo's estimated time of death. Why go back? The detective pressed. Maya's voice broke. Because I dropped something important there. What she dropped was never recovered. And that missing object could be the key to everything. 6. Ronnie Silverton, the brother with a grudge. Ronnie Silverton hadn't seen Theo in 3 years. Their feud was long, bitter, and deeply personal. Their father's inheritance had been the breaking point. Theo had walked away with control of the family assets, leaving Ronnie with nothing but resentment. When Ronnie was brought in, he didn't deny the hatred. I wanted him ruined, he admitted. Not dead. But investigators found something troubling. Ronnie had been within a mile of the warehouse that night. And a burner phone linked to him had pinged near the canal at the exact time Theo's phone last connected. You expect me to believe that's coincidence? Mallory asked. Ronnie laughed bitterly. In Weatherfield. Nothing's coincidence. 7. Evelyn Cross, the landlady who knows everything. Evelyn Cross had lived in Weatherfield longer than most of its residents had been alive. She ran the Warehouse District properties, including the abandoned site where Theo was found. She insisted she had been home that night. Reading. Alone. But CCTV showed her leaving her flat at 11:42 p.m. heading directly toward the warehouse. When confronted, Evelyn didn't panic. She simply sighed. "You're looking in the wrong direction," she said. "What does that mean?" Mallory asked. "It means Theo Silverton wasn't killed because of who he was." A pause. "But because of what he was about to reveal." And then she said something that changed everything. "There were more people involved than your 6 suspects." 8. Weatherfield begins to crack. As the investigation deepened, Weatherfield began to fracture. Friends turned on friends. Business partners stopped answering calls. Even families began to suspect one another. Every pub conversation ended the same way. "Who do you think did it?" No one had an answer. Because every suspect had cracks in their story. And every alibi had holes. Detective Mallory stood in front of his board late one night, staring at the photos. 6 suspects. 1 dead man. Too many secrets. And not enough truth. 9. The hidden connection. A breakthrough came unexpectedly. A forensic analyst discovered something overlooked at the warehouse, a set of overlapping footprints belonging to 2 different suspects. Not 1. 2. And both prints matched shoes owned by different suspects. Meaning Theo hadn't been killed by one person alone. He had been killed by more than one. Mallory's voice dropped. This was coordinated. The realization changed everything. This wasn't a random murder. It was a plan. 10. The truth beneath Weatherfield. Theo Silverton had discovered something dangerous. A land redevelopment scheme involving illegal money transfers, falsified ownership records, and blackmail spanning multiple residents of Weatherfield. He had been preparing to expose everything. But someone found out. Or maybe several people did. And instead of letting him talk, they silenced him. Together. 11. The arrest that shook the street. The breakthrough came fast after that. Liam Hartley and Gary Wyndham were arrested first. Then Sarah Middleton. Then Maya Patel for withholding evidence. Ronnie Silverton followed. And finally Evelyn Cross. But even in custody, none of them admitted to murder. Because the truth was more complicated than guilt. It was shared responsibility. Shared silence. Shared fear. 12. The final revelation. Detective Mallory delivered the final report weeks later. Theo Silverton had not been killed by a single person. He had been confronted by all 6 suspects, each arriving separately, each unaware the others were also there. A confrontation had erupted when Theo revealed he had evidence tying them all together. Panic. Arguments. Struggle. And in the chaos, Theo fell. Not from one hand. But from many. 13. Aftermath. Weatherfield didn't recover quickly. It never did. Every suspect had a story. Every story had truth buried inside it. And every resident knew one thing. Theo Silverton's death wasn't just a murder. It was a collapse. Of secrets. Of alliances. Of trust. And in Weatherfield, nothing would ever feel safe again. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Crown ST.